Hey everyone, it's Kara here from Boho and I'm back with a brand new video for you today. Obviously it's December 3rd, so I am quite a bit late in getting ready for the month of December, both in my bullet journal and my digital planner, which I'm going to show you here in a little bit. But let's just say that November was a little crazy. November is always a super busy month for me. I don't know why I schedule myself as intensely as I do in the month of November, and I seem to do it every single year. And now that I say that out loud, I think that November in general is busy for everyone. We have the holidays approaching, everyone's starting to shop. We have Thanksgiving here in the US, so there's just a lot going on in general in the month of November. And then of course we have, for those of us that partake, we have NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month, which I attempted again this year. Spoiler alert, I did not win. And I've been participating in that for 3 years in a row now. So that takes up a huge part of my November. And then on top of that, for me personally, it's my birthday, it's my husband's birthday. We have a few other friends whose birthdays are in November. And there always just seems to be a lot of activity and hustle and bustle going on in the month of November. So keep all that in mind as we flip through here, because I'm going to show you what's been going on in my bullet journal in the month of November. Now, I started this notebook back in October, and it was shortly after reading the Bullet Journal Method, which is Writer Carol's new book, all about how the bullet journal came to be and some of the theories and kind of deep dive concepts about the bullet journal system. I took a hard look at what I was doing with my digital planning, and I was really missing putting pen to paper, so I started this journal in October. And if you go back and look at my November setup, you'll see my flip through of the month of October, but I'm going to start at November, which is the last thing that you saw in my journal. So I have November 2018 started on page 31. Here we go. All right, so this is my November spread, and let me get some of these pens out of the way here so you can see a little bit better. All right, so as you can see, my schedule for November was absolutely packed. I had very few days where I didn't have anything going on, and I had a lot of projects that I was working on as well. Now, when I flip this page, don't judge me. This was my NaNoWriMo tracker for 2018. So as you will notice, here, I didn't even finish filling this out. I did write a couple of extra days, but I really only wrote during the first 2 weeks of November. And my goal, of course, was to write 1,667 words per day to reach 50,000 words by the end of November. And I actually got up to, oh gosh, I'm going to have to log in and double check myself. Maybe I'll post it somewhere on the screen here, but somewhere around 17,000 words is what I ended up with this November, which is the lowest I've ever done. My first year, I wrote something around 29,000, and last year I won. I actually wrote around 80,000, so it was quite a bit more. This year, a grand total of 17,000. So for those of you waiting for a NaNoWriMo update, there it is for you. Things just got a little hectic, a little crazy, and writing my novel was the thing that kind of got shoved to the wayside because I had other things more pressing. So yeah, this is kind of a depressing page to look at, but you know what? The good thing is that my novel is mostly done. I have just been transferring everything from my handwritten notebooks to Scrivener. So I was being kind of a rebel this year anyway, so I can continue that process anytime and start editing and doing things like that. So yeah, it's a little sad to look at this page. I had great hopes for this page, but you know, that's life, y'all. It happens. Okay, up next, we have my gratitude log for the month of November. And I know last time when you saw me after I had set this up, I wasn't quite sure how I was going to lay everything out or how I was going to do it. All I had was the title of gratitude on here. And I decided just to keep things really simple in order to make sure that I came back and filled it in every day. And I did have fun coming in and just being extra careful with my handwriting. And I think it turned out really nice. And as always, I love coming back to these gratitude spreads and just seeing kind of what those little things that made me happy throughout the month and made me grateful. It's a great feeling to look back on. Up next, we have 30 better days spread. It ended up being something more like 5 better days in the month of November. And if you watched my last setup video, you know the way I intended to use this was to come in every night when I planned out for the following day and pick one thing that I was going to do to just kind of improve myself a little tiny bit the next day, then put it onto that daily spread. And in theory, after the end of my 30 days of November, I would have done 30 things to improve my life just a little tiny bit. As you'll see when I flip through the rest of this, I did not plan a whole lot in the month of November. It's very, very splotchy. I have a few days in a row here from the 5th through the 9th, and then I did not plan again until the 19th, and then after that, there was a break until the 27th, and then the 30th. So out of my 30 days in November, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, goodness, 8 days in the month of November where I actually sat down and planned out a daily list, and I did my traditional rapid logging and things like that. And I really I don't want to make excuses here. I feel like, and I do this to myself every single November, so I'm going to try to remember this for next year and kind of put some things into place so that this doesn't happen again. But I just scheduled myself so heavily, and I had so much email to get through, so many projects that I was working on, that I would wake up every morning and just dive straight into email, get straight into the things that I knew off the top of my head I had to get done. And little things would come up throughout the day that was like, okay, this takes precedent. I have to put everything else to the side and take care of this. And honestly, I just wasn't planning out my days for the most part. And I felt that all month long. So in a lot of ways, the month of November in my bullet journal was kind of a little bit of a letdown. I really had high hopes for coming in and really utilizing the system the way it's meant to be used. And I think I kind of sabotaged myself by having just so much going on and not really taking the time to sit down and plan everything out in detail and kind of flying by the seat of my pants all month. So it's definitely something that I'm keeping in mind when moving into December, and you'll see that here in a minute. But I did have a couple of spreads that I added in here. One was shows to watch. I keep seeing like advertisements for different shows that I think look interesting, and I didn't really have a place to keep those safe, and I kept forgetting about them, and then I'd see the ad for the show later on and be like, oh yeah, I totally forgot. And so I just wanted to make a really simple page where I could turn to and write those things down when I saw them, and then, you know, at my leisure, one day when I have time to sit down and watch some more TV, I can get to watching those. Up next, I have a blank page. I think I meant to continue my dailies here, and then I totally missed it and went to this page. Anyway, these were the new Tombow dual brush pen colors that came out in November, so I wanted to swatch those in here. Then, of course, we have more daily pages, and then my 2018 year-end review. Now, I'm going to be expanding on this. This is actually the review sticker that was in the December Boho Berry box, along with one of my Star and Moon paper clips and the Star and Moon washi that was in the box. But I wanted to put this in here just to kind of start thinking about reviewing 2018 and how it went. So I view this year-end review as kind of jumping off point for the rest of my year to kind of determine what needs to be done and how I can improve and really reflect a lot further on 2018 and gear up for 2019. I had my Thanksgiving menu and Thanksgiving timeline, which absolutely saved my life on Thanksgiving. I was going to do something a little more fancy, but I decided just to break it down really simply to write out my menu, what I would need to cook. So like the turkey we did in the fryer, the stuffing was in the stove in the oven, etc. How long it would take, if there's any advanced prep time and things like that. And then based on this timeline, like the amount of time that everything took, I wrote out my timeline for Wednesday and Thursday for getting everything prepared. And this worked out really, really well. And we were able to follow this pretty much to a T, and everything was done at the same time. It was basically magic. All right, and up next we have December. So I started setting up for December already, and actually I set up entirely for December already. And as you can see, I have a pretty busy December as well. I have a lot more blank days than in November, but it's still pretty full. And the biggest thing this month is that we're leaving for St. Louis on the 21st. So we're going to be gone the 21st through, I think, the 3rd or the 4th of January. So I'm pretty much counting this month as only having 20 days, if that makes sense, especially work-wise and getting things done-wise. Because after that, after the 21st, I'm planning on really not doing any work at all and just really enjoying the season and the time with family while we're there. As always, I have my this month or my tasks for the month. I actually went back to November, which shouldn't be very far to turn back. And I did the same thing that I did in the month of November. I migrated, you'll see with the little forward arrows, anything that was undone. So I migrated those forward, and then I drew a line here to kind of distinguish between things that have been pending for a while and new items on my list for the month. So these are the things that I migrated forward, and then these are new items that I added this month. And then I kind of looked back and I said, you know, I have this empty space here from last month that I never used. I could do something like a doodle or a quote or something like that, but I really wanted to make it more functional. So I decided to do my monthly habit tracker in these little kind of segments instead of like my full page habit tracker like I used to do. So I just did these little segments numbered 1 through 31, and I have my 6 main habits that I want to focus on this month. And I have not forgotten to update these the last few days. I just have not accomplished a single one of these habits in the last 2 days, which is pretty bad, I know. But today is Monday. And I don't know about y'all, but Monday always feels like a fresh start for me. So this is when I'm going to kick off my really trying to focus in on my habits for the month. And actually, while I'm here, today is the 3rd, and I can go ahead and mark off a couple of these. Let's see, what color do I want to use? I don't know. Let's go with a little purple. I think the purple will look good with this teal that I used. All right, so wake by 6. Today is the 3rd. I did that. Strength training, no. Cardio, yes. I rode my Peloton this morning. Eating clean, can't really judge on that yet. I have read for 30 minutes. I did that this morning. And obviously bed by 11, I can't mark that off. But so that's how I'm going to be marking those off throughout the month. Really, really simple. I think my big key going forward is just simple, simple, simple. Especially the busier my months get, the more simplistic I need to get in my actual planning from day to day. All right, so next page is my gratitude log. And this one I kept even more simple than last month. I just have 1 through 31 down the left-hand side, and I'm just writing a little sentence in that I'm grateful for each day. And then, of course, we have my regular dailies. And I've started this on the 1st, on Saturday, and I've kept up every day. And my intention this month, my big thing that I really want to focus on, you'll notice I didn't set up my 30 Better Days spread this week. I think it was just too much for me in such a busy month. And since December is going to be so busy as well, I said, you know what? I need to simplify, focus in on what's really, really important, which to me is planning out my day and having a plan each morning when I wake up. That's my biggest security, and when I get the most things done is when I take that time to sit down every night, plan out my day, wake up in the morning, and have my list ready to go. If I don't do that, I'm again flying by the seat of my pants. I get into emails, I get distracted, I dive into projects, and sometimes other things slip away because I didn't have them written down, and I just want to avoid that altogether this month. So I'm making a concerted effort to sit down every night, write out my list, as simple as it may be. I did it on Saturday night, even though Sunday I took kind of a me day. I did a little bit of cleaning. I unpacked from my trip to New York, and I wanted to deep condition my hair. Whereas last month, if I had sat down on Saturday night and realized that I didn't have much to do on Sunday, I wouldn't have made myself a list. And honestly, I didn't really need this list for Sunday, but for me right now, it's all about getting back into that habit. So that's my focus. Sit down every night, plan, wake up every day, have a plan. All right, so that is what's been going on in my bullet journal short and simple, except for all of my rambling. Now I want to show you what's been going on in my digital planner, which is actually less than what's been going on in my bullet journal, but I know a lot of people have been wanting to see what's going on there. Let me get my pens out of the way and let's go to the iPad. All right, so you'll have to excuse the amount of fingerprints on my iPad right now. Actually, you may not even be able to see them because the screen's nice and bright right now, but let's open her up and show you what's been going on here. So let's go to my planner in GoodNotes. I haven't opened this in a few days, so it's not even loading my most recent. All right, so here we are, September 2018 to December 2018. And I think I was just testing some random things here. So let's go to November and swipe through. So November, I set up my monthly spread as I always do. And then I had my habit tracker in here, which you can see again, right around the same time that I stopped doing my 30 days spread. I stopped tracking my habits as well. Again, things just got away from me and I was basically doing the bare minimum, and yeah, no excuses for that. Next page, we have my very first weekly spread. I shared this on Instagram and I think I shared it in our Facebook group as well, but this is not planning. To me anyway. This was just a creative outlet and a way for me to see kind of my week at a glance. So I had some goals for the week, some important things to remember, and then some time-specific appointments, things like that. Election day, we went to a football game, date night, and I was planning out my meals and things like that. But this to me was purely a creative outlet. And I had a lot of fun with it. It took me a couple hours to set this up and I really enjoyed it. And that's one thing that I've really been noticing with my digital side and digital planning and digital art, lettering. It's really become my creative outlet, but my planning brain, my getting things done brain, I've realized functions much better on paper. So that's why I've kind of split the two the way that I have. You'll see that I have a Thanksgiving meal plan and shopping list in here. This was planning for the most part, but it was something that I didn't feel the need to have in my bullet journal. Plus having this shopping list here, I was able to easily pull that up on my phone and get everything I needed at the grocery store. So that was really nice and not having to take my notebook to the store with me. And then that's pretty much it. That is it for the month of November. So I'm setting up December next, and I've done that all in Procreate. And I actually did do another weekly in Procreate, which I didn't finish, and it's right here. And I started to set this up on kind of a dark page just to kind of play around with that aesthetic a little bit. And now you probably will see my fingerprints in here. And this weekly, whereas the week before I had done like all the crazy stickers and decorating and all that extra stuff, this one I wanted to keep it to really simple, like just journaling a little bit about my day each day. And you can see I did that on Monday and Tuesday, and then I kind of fell off after that. So I'm still playing around a lot. I'm still experimenting with what's working for me, what I'm able to stick with right now with my workload. And I'm realizing more and more that I need to keep my planning very simple. So that's why I'm staying very minimalist in my bullet journal. And then I'm using my digital planning and Procreate in general just to be creative and have fun. So I have already set up for December here in Procreate, which is this one right here. And I'm going to be moving this over to my GoodNotes, so I have that saved. And this again is pretty simple. I just have a few big things going on this month that I kind of highlighted in the daily boxes there. And then everything else here is just hand drawn by me. The words and numbers are fonts. This black is all my handwriting. And then I doodled these little Christmas ornaments, which are decorated. If I zoom in real close, you can see they have all these cute little decorations on them. And then this little kind of Scandinavian border down here. These are all brushes from Abby Nurse. If you have not checked her out, Abby Nurse is here on YouTube and she has some amazing Procreate tutorials and some really awesome brushes. I think I own, I'm going to scroll down, all of these that start with AN are all Abby Nurse brushes. And she has some really cool stuff like faux embroidery, mosaics, different flowers, textures, guides, knitting, metallics, needlework, ribbons, Scandinavian, which is what I use to decorate the ornaments, and this little border down here. She has shapes, textures, and watercolor brushes. So I'm obviously kind of a huge fan of hers. I have almost all of her brushes and love them. But you'll see here when I open up my layers panel, I have a bunch of different layers with how I've set everything up here. I'm just going to turn off the background. Oops, there we go. And I'm going to copy my canvas. Then I'm going to turn that back on so that I can always see what's going on there. Now I'm going to go back into GoodNotes and to December. And I'm just going to paste that in. And I'm going to crop it a little bit. Oops, about to crop people's feet off there. All right. You know what, I just realized I should have left the background in. I'm going to do that. Okay, back to Procreate. Leave my background in here, because I need to cover up those existing boxes. Let's copy the canvas again. Back to GoodNotes, paste. Now I can crop this down. There we go. And there we are. That's pretty good. All right, so I have my December set up in my planner. I am going to do some weekly spreads like I was trying to do last month. So I'm going to do a weekly spread probably this afternoon for this week of the 3rd through the 9th. I don't know that I'm going to get as creative as I did, for example, on this week, but I will say, like, this is the week I had the most fun with setting up, so I might. You never know. I'll post that on Instagram later once I have it done. One big, huge thing, digital planning-wise, is in 2019, I'm planning on switching over to ZoomNotes for my digital planner. I've been using GoodNotes for the last year, and I've been recommending it to everyone because it is kind of easy and intuitive to get to learn this app. And I played around with ZoomNotes a while back, and the biggest reason I didn't like it was because it was not very intuitive and very hard to kind of learn and explain to others. However, ZoomNotes has come a long way. Let me get her open here. And I'm actually using the beta version of ZoomNotes. I'm helping them with some beta testing. So you may see some features and things in here that are a little bit different than yours. But this is my January 2019 planner, and I'm using the gray original, so with rings in the center, and the bright color scheme for the start of January. But the biggest thing with ZoomNotes now is they have this beta testing. The developer is really active in one of the ZoomNotes groups on Facebook, and there's starting to be a lot more people using this app and doing tutorials on this app, and it's becoming more commonplace. I do think it has a long way to go before it's actually user-friendly and something that I would recommend to a beginner. But I have started to play around with it and kind of learn the ropes. I've set up the interface the way that I like it. I've set up some different layers here, which is a really cool feature of ZoomNotes. So I have my tabs labeled on one layer. I have a few different links. I have my coloring and my writing all on different layers here. I have saved in the symbols panel, which are basically like stickers, I have saved a bunch of my most used like Boho Berry stickers. So I have some planner icons and things like that in there. All of my weather stickers are in here, so I can use those really easily. So there's just a lot of features that are really nice to have once you figure out how to use them. I've been able to set up different color palettes. I have been able to use text, typing with any font that's saved on my iPad, which is really, really great. But I'm just going to get into showing you what I've done so far. I didn't mean for this to be kind of an intro to ZoomNotes or anything, although I am planning on doing some videos for them. When I click to my 2019 tab, you can see my year at a glance. I've already started getting this set up. So I just kind of colored in my month headers and my year headers with this little fill bucket tool, which is really, really fun. And then I just have highlighted some dates and things that are going on in 2019. And I really haven't set up much else. I don't think I've even started to set up for January yet. Nope. The one thing I have set up under my personal tab, I believe, is my cleaning schedule. So I want to get into a better habit of sticking to a solid cleaning schedule for my home for 2019. I've actually seen quite a few cleaning schedules like this floating around Pinterest and Instagram and everything like that. So I thought I'd put my own little spin on it and create one for myself for 2019. And one example of links here, these tabs already come linked in your planner, but you can create new links within ZoomNotes, which is really cool. So I've created a link up here on personal. So I'm basically going to have an index of sorts of what's in this section. So I can just tap on that cleaning schedule and it will take me to that page, which is really, really cool. But that is the extent of what I have set up so far. I do want to do some more setup for 2019 to kind of personalize this a little bit more, set up some tabs in my different sections and things like that. And obviously do some tutorials for you all on some of the simpler things like setting up your interface and a lot of the common questions in ZoomNotes. So that is going to wrap up today's video, how I'm setting up for December, both in my bullet journal and my digital planner. I am planning on doing a full 2019 setup video for you, which is going to be both analog and digital again. As always, if you have any questions, comments, anything, drop them in the comment section below. I'll be happy to join in the conversation down there as much as I can. And I will look forward to seeing y'all very soon. Bye!